What is going on, NXT Universe? Hello, everyone. I'm giving everybody a second to join in with me. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I spent some time at the beach. I also spent some time by the pool. Don't worry, I was 6 feet apart. Social distancing is still very important, but I have a very exciting surprise for everyone today on my IG Live. We are starting a little bit earlier, but very excited. I have a man that is maybe one of the greatest tag team champions of all time, tag team wrestlers of all time, a man that has held several WWE championships, many. It's hard to name how many. And he is a part of the legendary D Generation X. So I'm very, very excited. Some might know him as Brian James. Some might know him as Jesse James. Some might know him as Road Dogg, or Dog, as they call it. Sorry, technology, man. I'm trying my best. He is a WWE Hall of Famer, and he now works on the NXT brand, on the black and gold brand. So I'm very excited to get him on here. Let's see if he is on here with me. Let me see. Oh, he is. Let me add him on. What's going on?
I cannot believe that I am. Today is a day. My granddaughter just showed up. Today is a day of first. I did my first Google Hangout earlier this morning,
Okay.
which was weird for me, but I did it and I was successful with it. And now my first ever IG Live. Janet Gale, come here. I want everybody to meet my granddaughter, Janet Gale.
You're making strides today.
Hey,
hello, beautiful.
Say hey.
Hey. Say hi to everyone. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're gonna go swimming later.
Yeah?
Go in there with Gigi and your mama. Yeah, we're gonna go swimming later.
That sounds like so much fun. Well,
Yeah,
it seems like you've got your hands
weird.
full today. This is weird.
It is to
Look
me.
at all the people commenting.
I'm going to turn 51 in this month. And so to be on an Instagram live deal, there's a lot of people commenting. And then there's a lot of people just making crazy stuff at me. Bro,
they'll wave and they'll say hello. We have like 400 to 500 people watching us right now. So that's pretty cool.
So I'm outside. I'm a boring person. I guess I'm boring. I mean, that's cool. I'm old. You know what I mean? Old people are supposed to be boring.
Oh my God. Somebody's gonna have something to say all the time. You can't make everybody happy, huh?
Hello. So how does this work? So are you ready? ? So, hey, how you doing?
Yes, so we can acknowledge some of the comments. We can say hello. And then I've got some questions for you if you'll answer some of the questions that I have.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like a one-on-one interview, except for we're doing it virtually.
Okay, that's cool. That person added Ronda Rousey. I don't know. They didn't have a comment. They just said at Ronda Rousey.
They wanted to say hi to Ronda Rousey, I guess.
I'm really distracted by all these things popping up. We should probably go to your questions first before my head explodes.
Okay, let's do that. So obviously, we'll get into some of the stuff with NXT. We'll get into some of your stuff being in the ring, being with D Generation X back in the day, and then just some questions about you and your experience and your lifestyle questions and things like that. So first, starting things off with NXT, how has it been being down at NXT and having such an impact on all of the younger generation?
Well, I hadn't been there too long before we started going live, and so that was like I kind of jumped out of a fire up on Raw and SmackDown and going live every week, back into another fire with NXT. So I didn't get a whole lot of time to share any of my experience, strength, and hope with the younger talent. A little bit, but I get to do it now during the day of the live television shows. And look, that's what I think one of my strengths is. I have a lot of weaknesses, so it'll be a shorter list if I cover my strengths. The one strength I have is the live television aspect of professional wrestling, so I feel like that's where I bring the most to the table. And if I can get through to them and if I can stop trying to be the class clown long enough, I feel like I can teach them some stuff about how to conduct themselves on the live wrestling show.
Sure, of course.
Maybe how to be a
Oh,
grandfather at some point. Hey, go
oh,
get it.
that's awesome. She's like, I want to be in there.
Give me a kiss. I love you.
Oh, that's
Okay, I'm
amazing.
sorry. I'm actually on this thing.
That's
I
okay.
apologize. Yes. Yeah. So I think the television aspect, back to it again. The television aspect of what we do is where I kind of have the most to offer. So I have a lot of time on those days to work with those guys close and work
Mhm.
with you as well, Mackenzie. But mostly I just
Yep.
yell at people and tell them what to do, and I hope they learn something throughout all that process.
Oh, absolutely. You're obviously very hands-on. What's your favorite part about working at NXT?
Well, it's definitely, I don't know, there's a lot of favorite parts, but I love the live aspect of television because I do. It's poop or get off the pot. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
it's time. The red light comes on, the bell rings, and you're walking the tightrope with no safety net. So that's the one thing I love about it, and love that I get to share some of my experience with that to the younger
Of
talent. But
course.
look, another thing is I get to work with some of my best friends. And that's
Yep.
just the truth of it. Matt Bloom runs a tight ship down there, and of course, I get to work with Sean and Hunter and some friends from the writing team, Joe Belcastro, Johnny Russo, Dewey Foley, like some good guys that I've worked with in the past, and so I get to continue to work with them down there. Man, and we went live. You know what I mean? We became
Yep.
overnight, like we went from developmental to a third brand, and that's the way we're perceived, and that's the way we're to produce. So it's fun, man. I
Absolutely.
love I love this industry. You know what I mean? And I know
Hmm.
everybody has an opinion about it. Everybody has an opinion about it and think what they will, but we're all huge fans ourselves. So
Yep.
we get together and sit around. I actually just hung up with a creative conference call to jump on here with you guys where we were talking about the shows and what to do next. And so it's my passion. Loves of my
Yeah.
life are my family and that grandbaby I introduced you to here a minute ago. But
Oh,
my passion is sports entertainment, professional wrestling, whatever you want to call it.
sure.
That's my passion in life. I grew up in it and I'll grow down in it. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Well, you've been with WWE for quite some time and you've seen things really evolve. Where do you think the future of NXT and WWE as a whole lies?
Well, look, I think wrestling is almost just fell out of my chair. I think wrestling is wrestling and it's going to be wrestling. But one thing I
Yep.
think we saw with this WrestleMania is the introduction of those kind of cinematic matches and a little more themed maybe pay-per-views. And so I think wrestling's going to remain wrestling, but this producing television in front of no fans is asking us to get creative in a different way. And so I don't know exactly what the future holds, but
Yep.
we're headed towards it no matter what. And so we better put our thinking caps on. I do think we're learning a lot from watching our own shows back in front of no fans. And hopefully, this will all pass and we'll be back in front of the fans soon. But we're learning a lot each week and kind of trying to, manipulate the show into a way that works creatively. I do think we're going to see more cinematic matches, but I also think if we do that too much, then it's not special anymore. It's just like if you try to make all
Yep.
your characters tough guys, then nobody's a tough guy. If you try to make all your characters
Absolutely.
funny, then nobody's funny. You know what I mean? So we gotta
Sure.
weigh out our options when it comes down to our creative.
Yep. So you are, like you said, very hands-on with the talent and all of us down at NXT. What are your thoughts on people comparing Undisputed Era to DX?
I'm flattered for one thing because I don't think any of us could wrestle like those guys can. but I totally get the thinking. Is there's four of them. They're really cool heels. So I get the idea. I get the comparison. Um, but you know what they need is a really muscled up woman with them, and I think then I would
Yeah,
get the comparison a little more. But to
there
tell you the
you go.
truth, I'm flattered. I'm flattered uh, because again, Adam Cole to me right now, and he knows I feel this way about him, is the best uh, all around entertainer in our industry. Like he can go in the ring, he cuts the best promos. off the top of his head. His timing is impeccable. His professionalism is impeccable. His ring presence, his ring knowledge, like everything that goes into making a WWE or NXT superstar, he has. His cup
Yep.
runneth over, man. So I'm really impressed. I guess that would be the Hunter. I guess that would be Triple H. You know what I mean? In the
Yep.
comparison, and I like to compare. Oh, you got it. She's watching us on my wife's TV,
I love.
on my wife's phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
She'll be commenting here pretty soon.
yeah, probably. But so I compare myself a lot to Kyle O'Reilly. I think he's the road dog of the gang because I do think, even though we haven't given him that avenue yet, I think he's very entertaining and I think he's funny. And I guess that's kind of backhanded putting myself over, and I didn't mean to do that. But I think he can wrestle 10 times better than I could ever. But I do think he's the underlying comedic relief of the Undisputed Era.
Okay. Yeah, I love that.
I guess Billy is Roderick Strong. I don't know if we could talk about him, but I guess he'd be Roderick Strong. And then X-Pac is Bobby Fish, because they're always just in a cloud kind of.
Who would be the female? Who would be the female in the group?
Let me think.
If you had to choose one from the NXT roster.
Probably Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
Probably Rhea
I
Ripley.
love Rhea, so that's a perfect answer, I think.
No doubt about it. She's a badass.
So obviously, since we've been spending some time at home and everything's changed a little bit with technology and the advancement, how would DX be on social media?
Oh, we would not be. We would have been fired already, or we would be in jail. There was a lot of things we did that was a different time and a different generation for sure. Yep. I don't think we would have looked. Cell phones were just coming out at the time. That's how old we are. But I remember breaking and losing cell phones and stuff and we always talk about to this day, like, man, if Twitter was around, we'd all be under the jail. So yeah, we would not be allowed to be on Twitter. They would take away our Twitter. Whatever.
That's amazing.
Privileges. Yeah.
For sure. Well, we just celebrated 25 years of Triple H in WWE. You guys are obviously very close. You still work together very closely. We're a part of D-Generation X together. Do you guys have a favorite moment with Triple H?
Well, to be quite honest, it probably isn't anything wrestling-wise. The Hall of Fame was very special. Hunter gathered us all together earlier and gave us these. I get a little emotional because he gave us these incredible gifts. All of us, not only did we get our rings, but we got D-Generation X cufflinks, and we have our name engraved on them all. I thought it was really super classy. Wow. and really touched my heart. But a lot of stuff that Hunter's done for me was behind the scenes, and he's done for me, and this will either be a segue into my personal life, or we'll wait and dive in later. But like, he's given me a second to the company, and he has given me a second chance at life, and a second chance to do what I love to do for my job. And so I think my favorite moments are just the fact that I believe God puts people in your paths that will take care of you. And I think he's one of those people for me personally. And, you know, a lot of times I used to get like, why do you defend the company so much? Well, the company literally saved my life, and then literally gave me an opportunity to let my family, pay my friggin' bills, for that matter, so I feel like I should be loyal, and a good dog always is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you came from a family of wrestlers. Your dad is in the wrestling business, your brothers as well. Was wrestling always on in your household when you were a kid?
Well, if I wanted to see my father, yes, it was on, because just like the athletes of the day, he traveled a lot, and so he was home some, but not a lot. And so if I wanted to see my father, and look, it was wrestling, it was larger than life, so I loved wrestling anyway. But I got to see my dad on there too, which was really cool. And then my brother Brad, who passed away not long, I guess 6 years ago. Started at an early age too, so I was really young. So then I could see my brother on there as well. And then after that, my other brothers started, and then I joined the military, and I got to the wrestling business around my elbow, but I got there, And so, yeah, wrestling was on all the time, and when it wasn't on, it was on in the backyard. You know what I mean? So
Right. Of course.
I literally got trained in wrestling, like in shin deep water in the Gulf of Mexico by
Oh, wow.
Wildfire Tommy Rich and Johnny Rich and just any of the wrestlers that were in the continental area where my dad worked and booked for. We would all go to the beach and they would backdrop me and body slam me, and then they would all run at me, and I'd do the same to them. So I really learned how to wrestle by punching each other and
Sure.
throwing each other over
You were
our
thrown to
heads.
the fire.
Yes, literally.
Oh, wow. Well, you have kids of your own and grandkids of your own. Could you see any of them in the sports entertainment business?
um, yeah, I could actually. I have a couple of daughters. Believe it or not, my son probably would not into it. My daughters would probably love to do it, and they'd probably be good at it too. I try to steer them clear of it just because I think, look, I think if you work at the nursing home or at AT&T, you don't blow your knee out twice in your career. You know what I mean? So, and,
Yep.
and, and, and this is a dog eat dog sport. Like if you got it, you got it. And if you don't, you don't. And so it's very cut and dry. And there's a lot of injuries and a lot of, not just body aches, but heartache too. If you're not where you
Sure.
feel like you should be, which is a big problem today. So I try to steer them away from it, but not in a negative way. Just looking out for them. They see what what it could be from their father and my career, and hopefully they've learned some of my mistakes as well. So
Sure.
yeah, they'd love to be a wrestler, but I'm going to steer them away from it.
Okay. Okay. Well, for a bit in your career, you tagged with R-Truth.
Oh yeah.
And what are your thoughts on his longevity in the WWE and his career overall?
Yeah, I think he's got the Midas touch. I think there's nothing he can't do. I think everything he touches turns to gold. I think he could go like I don't know if I've seen him wrestle in a year, and I don't think I need to. You know what I mean? But
Right.
whatever segments like I just saw one that popped up the other day where he went down to the ring and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar were in the ring and he said, I'm the
Yep.
first to join. And he was going to join the Battle Royal or whatever, the Royal Rumble. And then Paul Heyman said, I'm not in it. Brock is. And he said, well, then I want to be the first to undeclare.
Yep.
Like
I
that's
that's it blew up the internet. Everything he does turns to gold, like you said. It's all
exactly.
memeable. It all is
Hey,
something
and
to laugh at and
so
makes you enjoy the business.
I knew that in, I think it was 1997 or when at 1998. Now I don't even remember what year it was. I did a lot of stuff in the 90s that you shouldn't do, but I knew when I saw him the first time ever, I thought that guy's gold. And so not
Yeah.
only when Billy got hurt did I say I want to tag with him, but then I thought, man, I ended up giving him money for a studio because I thought we could make music together. And I fancy myself a little bit of a musician. So I thought, man, we could do this stuff. And now he's doing it on his own and he's so talented. And I love him so
Sure.
much. He's such a good guy. Really one of my true friends and one of my brothers in this industry, and he's like that with my whole family too. So I
Oh,
love
that's
Ron
amazing.
Killings. And I can't sing his praises enough.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you're obviously very well versed in the WWE and you've won many championships. Is there a championship that means the most in your career? Championship win, I
Well,
should say, that means the most
yeah,
in your
yeah, yeah.
career.
Look, my tag titles with Billy meant a lot to me, and that was the first
Hmm.
ones I won for like on a grand stage, and we beat the Legion of Doom, the Road Warrior. Like holy mackerel, that's a career launching pad. But I honestly felt the most comfortable holding the hardcore title.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it was too, and I'll just be perfectly honest with you. Uh, it was my first time I was out on my own in the singles world without a partner to kind of lean on, and I was
Hmm.
really scared that I wouldn't uh, succeed. I wouldn't be good like that. Like I just didn't know, and so that the fact that I could have this title and I didn't have to have these great matches. We could just fight and hit each other hard with stuff like that made me feel better. And I almost used it
Right.
as a crutch, but I also thought that I was good at it. Like I feel like I'm putting myself over a lot on this on this thing,
No,
and I
this
don't
is
mean
why
it
we're
that
doing an
way.
interview, is because I'm supposed
Yeah.
to ask you questions about you.
Yeah. I feel like that was a crutch almost. A creative crutch I could lean on. Like I get to the building early and walk around and go, okay, so we can come over here and I can hit you with this and you can hit me with that. And so but it was really fun. And I thought I was the guy for that because, like Mick Foley, I'm not the body guy. I'm not the good looking guy with the great body. You know what I mean? I'm the road dog, and I'm a little scruffier and I'm a little grittier. And so it was cool. I felt like it fit me. So I'm going to have to say the hardcore title.
Sure.
They have it now with the 24/7 title, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as gritty as it was then. It was a little less
Right.
PG then, I guess. So we were beating each other's asses, and it was fun. That sounds
That's
weird, but it
awesome.
was.
Yeah. Well, looking back at your Hall of Fame career and now at NXT, if and when you ever leave WWE, how do you want your career to be remembered?
Man, I really do hope it. Uh, I hope my peers like were proud to know me. Like that's all. I don't.
Mhm.
It's look. It's professional wrestling. It is my passion. It is my life. But there's still turmoil in the Middle East. You know what I mean? Like it's not the
Right.
end all be all. And so I really hope I'm respected by my peers. And at the risk of sounding weird, I hope I'm liked by them. And I know you don't go off into the sunset trying to please everybody, but I am a bit of a people pleaser. I just hope they learn something from me. And look, I would love for the fans to remember me, but I was just living my dream and having a really good time, and I got paid for it too. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. And if everybody remembers me and thinks like, oh, that dude was good, like that's cool. But I really hope I made a difference somewhere in their lives. You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely. Yeah, of
I don't
course.
know. And if you'd asked me
Yeah.
10 years ago, I might have said something different. But today, that's how I feel. You know.
Well, they say you have to love what you do and you never work a day in your life. So that
Yeah,
kind of ties
amen,
hand in
amen.
hand. And you truly
I
do love
refuse
what
to
you
work.
do.
Yes, yes, I do.
Absolutely.
I don't want to
If
work.
there was if there was someone on the current roster that you could have a match with if you step back in the ring, do you know who that would be?
So I'm going down the
NXT,
roster.
SmackDown, Raw, it could be anybody on the roster across WWE
I,
platform.
I can tell you who it wouldn't be. It wouldn't
Okay.
be Roderick Strong because he's too stiff and his cardio
Okay.
is infinite. It wouldn't be Matt Riddle for the same reasons because he beat the crap out of me. Um, it would probably be Adam Cole, to be quite honest. I
Okay.
think Adam dances in the ring where it's a way that it feels like dancing but looks like fighting, and I feel like that's more my style. I know that's weird when I just said we beat the crap out of each other in the hardcore stuff, but that was younger in my younger days. Like if I was in my prime and I could work with anybody, it might be Matt Riddle. I'm a
Okay.
fan of Matt Riddle. I'm a fan of Matt Riddle, the human being.
Sure.
Look, I'm a fan of a lot of the guys as human beings because it's a different culture nowadays, and a lot of the guys are good human beings, and that
Hmm.
matters. As I was in creative, I had a lot of people ask me, the higher ups ask me, what kind of person are they? Before you invest a lot of creative time and energy in it, you want to make sure you're investing that time in the right human being, and it seems like a lot of the people are the right human beings now. I tell you who
Yeah.
I'd love to work with also is Keith Lee.
Okay.
Keith Lee is I'm a big fan of him as a human as well, and I think his work. I ain't doing no flips off the top rope, but he can do them on to me, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I can attest that the NXT roster, it is a family down there. It is, everybody is great and they're easy to work with, well versed for sure.
Yeah.
You touched on this a little bit earlier. Your younger career was kind of built around the very beginning of you being a singer and having a musical career at the very beginning. Would you ever tag with Elias?
Yeah. I would love to tag with Elias. I would actually love to play. I'd love to do a duet with him sometimes because he can play the acoustic guitar, and I do fancy myself. I don't sound like it now, but I fancy myself a bit of a singer. So I would love to. I'd rather at this age. And this weight. I'd rather duet with him than fight with him.
Yep, I hear ya. Well, what's your biggest advice to future sports entertainers?
So this is going to sound like the oldest guy in the world, but this is what the old timers told me, and I did not take their advice. Save your money, pay your
Okay.
taxes and save your money. Like I thought, excuse me, I thought at the time it was never going to end. You know what I mean? Because I was
Yep.
young and dumb and ready to run. And so it wasn't going to end to me. And then it ended. And it ended poorly for me. If Look, my first thing would be don't do drugs, and that's just telling you the truth. But a lot of the guys nowadays don't do drugs, so I think I would say
Right.
save your money. And look, I think a lot of these kids are smarter than my generation was. I think we were partying, and I've told this story before. Edge and Christian came in to the locker room, and we made I won't put anybody else under the bus. I made fun of them because they weren't going out all night and partying and coming into the locker room and falling asleep under a table till it was time for their match. Like they weren't doing any of that. They were showing up on time,
Sure.
well rested and trained and eating right. And I'm not saying nobody was doing that, but for the majority, we partied. You know what I mean? And it was a
Sure.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle, and that is not conducive. To a professional athlete. It's just not, you know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
And of course you saw that with, it's not a laughable matter, with a lot of deaths from people in my generation from drug overdoses and the like. But so I don't think anybody's doing drugs nowadays. And I just think be smart with your money. Like I said earlier when talking about my
Yep.
children, it's your longevity's not promised. Not all of us got the longevity that our truth has. So some of us have to be smart with our money. And man, once you get that first big pay-per-view paycheck, you kind of go crazy rich a little bit for a minute, and because
Oh, I'm
you're like,
sure.
whoa, I went from wrestling in smaller venues for $100, and now I've got X amount of dollars. Like holy mackerel, and I took it for granted. And so that's, yeah, to save your money, handle your money, just do right with it. You don't have to
See,
save it all, but do right with it.
well, that's something I can take for myself too, as well. Save your money.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And your first Instagram Live, congratulations. That's a huge
And it was,
accomplishment.
it was successful. It was successful.
Yay.
I appreciate you walking me through that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Enjoy your time with your family and your grandkids today for sure.
All right. Hey, thank you guys.
All right.
Now I got to figure out how
See
to
ya.
get out of here.
I'll end it and I think it'll close us out,
Okay. All
okay?
right.
All
All
right.
right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Road Dog.